All right, dancing time is over. My name is Jesse. Welcome to another exciting program with us here at Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants. I know we've got a big audience joining us for the very first time today. And so if you are here for the first time, we are all about bringing conservation, adventure, and science into classrooms around the world through like 40 live free monthly interactive broadcasts. We like to bring the coolest people on the planet right into your classroom. And we are so excited you could all join us today. Now, we've got groups joining us, Florida, Wisconsin, all across Ontario, just all over North America. It's a really, really exciting audience. And so a big thank you to all of you. Now, today, I'm thrilled to welcome back, probably don't tell the other groups, my favorite group we ever bring on the broadcast. And that is the Toucan Rescue Ranch joining us live in lovely Costa Rica, where we wish we all were with their wonderful weather, to hear about their amazing work that they're doing with sloths. They rescue, rehabilitate, and re-release injured wildlife. They keep animals as animal ambassadors to showcase the incredible biodiversity of one of the most species-rich places on this planet. So, without further ado, I'm going to turn over to our educator du jour today at the Toucan Rescue Ranch to take us on a little tour of their amazing facility. And I'm so excited for all your questions about sloths and others at the end. But welcome in, man. So nice to have you here today.
Hey, it's nice to be here. How's it going?
It's great. We got so many excited classes, like hundreds of kids losing their mind about sloths.
Awesome. Well, that sounds like me every day.
Perfect, man. Well, take us away. We'd love to see more of what you got.
Alrighty, perfect. So I think this might not be the best example of the sunny, warm weather that Jesse described for Costa Rica. It's actually a pretty dreary day, but we're here to talk about some awesome sloths. So let me turn you guys around and show you some of our beautiful, awesome, amazing animals that we have over here. So a lot of people have heard about sloths before, but not a lot of people know a lot about them. And here is one of our amazing, amazing, wonderful sloths. I hope that you're seeing her. She is a beauty. So we have a lot. She's stunning, isn't she?
We're good, yeah. Perfect, man.
Alrighty. So she is stunning. Her name is Stevie, and she's one of the sloths that we have over here. So in regards to sloths, there are 7 species of sloths all throughout the world. And they divide themselves in 2 big families, the 2-toed sloth family or 2-fingered sloth family, and the 3-toed sloth or 3-fingered sloth family. They are really, really amazing, both of them. But the ones that I have some dedicated passion for are, of course, the 2-fingered sloths, like this one that we're seeing right over here. And in Costa Rica, we have 2 species of sloths, the Hoffmans 2-fingered sloth and the brown-throated 3-fingered sloth. And what we're seeing right now is a Hoffmans 2-fingered sloth. Her name is Stevie, and she's absolutely stunning, isn't she? Now, sloths come in all shapes and sizes, and Hoffman sloths are by far one of the more, let's call it plastic or changeable in the way that they look and the way that they can be. So it's really, really amazing, but they can be all sorts of colors. So we have beautiful Stevie and her beautiful kind of pale blonde color, but then we have our little beautiful Pringle over here. Let me see if I can show you her. There we go. And we have beautiful Pringle with her little beautiful kind of hay blonde color. Isn't that nice? And their skin colors also come in all sorts of shades as well, from the darkest ebony to the brightest and pinkest white, and very beautiful pink as well. She's really, really, really stunning, and she's a really good example of the animals that we have over here at the Toucan Rescue Ranch. So over here we work with wildlife in general, but mostly sloths. And there's a bunch of different reasons why sloths come into our care. One of the more common ones, as is the case for little Miss Pringle over here, is orphanhood. And sometimes sloths get abandoned by their mothers, or something happens to their mother, and so they end up in our care, and then they go up to be released back into the wild. Now, isn't she super, super cute? Look at her smacking those lips. When it comes to 2-fingered sloths and 3-fingered sloths, we like to call them that way instead of 2-toed or 3-toed, because one of their main differences, or rather their main difference, is located in their hands and their feet. So every single species of sloth, all 7 of them, have 3 toes, so 3 fingers in their back or on their feet. But 2-fingered sloths have 2 fingers in their hands, and 3-fingered sloths have 3 fingers in their hands. So that's the difference right there. But there are a bunch of other differences as well. So 2-fingered sloths, like little Pringle over here have a very small neck and a very piggy, very wide nose. But three-finger sloths have a very long neck, and they have a very small, dainty nose that's kind of black and really characteristic as well. Two-finger sloths don't have any markings on their body, but three-finger sloths have kind of like a runny mascara look going on. So they have two stripes going underneath their face. And they are also spotted. Yeah, you heard it here first. It's Spot the Sloth. They're actually all spotted all over their bodies, and they have different color shades, kind of like a Dalmatian all throughout their body. That's for three-finger sloths. Two-finger sloths are a little bit more uniform in the way they look. And Pringles is just enjoying her life right now. She's just kind of chilling in her bed. Really, really awesome. So not a lot of people know a lot about sloths, which is pretty cool. We're learning things about sloths every single day as we work with them. And one of the things that a lot of people believe about sloths is that they are really, really slow and really, really lazy. And though this day really isn't helping us a lot, sloths don't like to move a lot when it's really cold outside. Sloths actually move a bunch. They can move really, really quickly if they want to. The problem is getting them to want to. This is our beautiful latte over here, and she's kind of asleep on her little hammock. Let's see if I can focus her better. You can see her right there. She's really pretty. So sloths can actually move fast. The problem is that it's an active decision that they have to make. So sloths would rather move slowly than move fast most of the time, because moving slowly saves up energy. And sloths are mostly herbivorous, which means that they mostly eat leaves. And leaves are not very nutritionally rich, you know? They're not as fatty as, say, a hamburger, or, you know, as sugary as like candy. And so they don't get a lot of energy from them, which means that sloths have to make the active decision to move fast whenever they really, really, really need to. So it's not that sloths are lazy, it's that they're wise. Isn't she beautiful? I'm going to try to see if we have any of our other ones out and about. With this weather, it's hard to see a sloth, but we'll see what we can do to show him. Hey, so over here, we have the wonderful Helga. And there she is. So something cool that you would maybe see in the wild, a lot more than you would see over here in our facility, is that a lot of sloths actually have a green tinge to their fur, which is pretty cool. And that's caused by algae growing in their fur. And what's really, really cool is that they're specially adapted for this algae to grow over there. And it allows them to camouflage, but also it seems scientists are thinking that it actually gives them a little bit of nutrition as well, which is super cool. And here we can see with our little beautiful Helga, the real range of colors that sloths can be. Let me see if I can show you her from over to this side. Let's see her. So as you can see, she has a very blonde hair, head of hair, but her body is this brown chocolatey color, right? Very beautiful. And we can definitely see her hands and her feet and how different they are from one another. So if we look at that, for example, we'll be able to see that she has 2 fingers in her hand and 3 in her feet. And there she is coming to say hi. And that's what I was describing before. That's the piggy nose that they're so very well known for. Sloths also have those beautiful, beautiful eyes that Helga was just showcasing. And their eyesight is not all that great, actually. So sloths can only see in black and white, which is pretty cool. And if you actually point a bright light right in front of their face, they cannot see at all. So that means that their eyesight is actually quite poor. So they use their other senses to compensate for this and to be able to navigate their world and to be able to move around and do all the things that sloths do. Their main sense is, of course, their sense of smell. They have that big nose, after all. But they also have a fantastic sense of taste and a fantastic sense of hearing. And something pretty cool is that the ears of a two-fingered sloth, like this one over here, are actually very similar to yours and mine. They look just like a human, which is really cool. And Helga seems to be wanting some sleep right now. So I mentioned before, sloths are mostly herbivorous. That means that they're mostly vegetarian. They eat leaves like this ones that we're seeing right all over her enclosure. But two-finger sloths are special because they can actually eat other things apart from leaves. They can eat bugs and they can eat eggs, and they love to eat especially eggs. But also, if they find, if they're raiding a nest and they find a little baby bird, maybe they sometimes will eat it as well. They're really, really awesome creatures. And here's a fun fact for y'all. Did you know that an adult sloth is actually about 3 times as strong as a grown human? That's pretty crazy, huh? If you were to, do some arm wrestling with a sloth, they would have you beat in a second. They're super, super strong. And a very important characteristic of this specific species is that they're actually quite aggressive. So sloths are very, very solitary animals. So they like to spend time on their own. And they're also very, very, very territorial, which means that they like to keep spaces for themselves. And what that means is that they actually defend those territories very fiercely from one another. So males will often fight for territory, and sometimes males will even fight females for territory. And they'll use very sharp fangs that they have on their mouths to be able to defend themselves and defend their territories and defend their babies as well. And those fangs are made up only for that specific purpose. So they're really, really sharp. And that's why I'd never recommend giving, a sloth a hug, because they could bite you and that could really, really hurt. The way the sloths fight is a really, really interesting deal, really, because what they'll do is they'll go up in the tree and then they'll hiss at each other and growl at each other, and then they'll try to make each other leave the tree by trying to bite each other on their feet so that they can make the other sloth fall down. But once one of the sloths wins, that territory is theirs, and they can go back to happily munching on leaves and going around their slothy business. Interesting as well is that actually sloths don't sleep that much. A lot of people think that they're very lazy animals, so they're going to sleep for a long time. But in reality, a sloth will only sleep about 10 hours per day, which to me, that kind of sounds like a good Sunday, really, more than anything too bad. And they sleep a lot less than other animals that you might be familiar with. Animals like lions, for example, can sleep to up to 20 hours per day. Animals like koalas can sleep up to 18 hours per day, but sloths can only sleep up to 10 hours per day. If you see a sloth, it's very likely that it's going to be awake. It's just kind of saving up its energy and lounging around in a single spot, grassing and eating and moving very, very little to try to save up its energy. Now let's see if we can see another sloth over in this direction. So sloths are very, very cool, and they inhabit mainly tropical rainforest over here in, well, not quite so sunny Costa Rica today, but in sunny Costa Rica in general. Um, and they inhabit this environment, which is pretty cool. Here's a little Milo. He's waking up. Hi, Milo. And they inhabit this forest, which is really, really amazing. And they can live in several countries over in Central America and up to South America. So you can find sloths all the way from the southern part of Honduras, which is a country in Central America, all the way to the Amazon, basically in Brazil. There's a little sleepy Milo. Isn't he cute? What's really, really cool as well about sloths is that they can actually live in very urban-like environments. So we can find sloths in cities over here in Costa Rica, which is very interesting. Now, we don't know if that's entirely natural. It's probably not. But sloths can often be seen in coastal cities, living around people. And they can also often be seen over in the capital of our country, in San Jose, which is very, very, very interesting. Sloths seem to have adapted very well to a urban life, and they use a lot of our urban objects to be able to move from one place to the other. I mentioned before that sloths are very territorial animals, and they actually have very big territories, and they move around them, trying to find new places for new food, and trying to get themselves fed with the best leaves. Sloths will often go for only the softest, most nutritious leaves that they can find, going for the baby leaves that are often a different color so that they can get, the best nutrition with the least amount of effort. He's falling asleep. So, sloths face a bunch of problems over here in Costa Rica, sadly. A lot of issues associated with us, with humans, encroaching into the territory, invading their territory, taking away trees, and also bringing up all sorts of critters that can be harmful for sloths. So one of the main issues that they have is they often get shocked by power lines, which is really, really sad. And they do so by trying to cross from one place to the other of the rainforest. And normally, the rainforest would just be a big, big forest where they can go wherever they want. But since we have invaded the rainforest and cut off pieces of it, they don't know that this is not their territory anymore. So they want to move from one part of their territory to the next. And the only way that they can do it is often by crossing a road or using electrical cables. And then they can get really, really, really hurt. And that's one of the reasons why we would receive them over here, and then why we would try to rehabilitate and then release them back into the wild. Another common reason why we would receive sloths is actually because of dogs. And the problem is that a lot of people here in Costa Rica, they don't really take great care of their dogs. And so they just leave them outside. They feed them, but they kind of leave them on the street to do whatever they want. And sometimes sloths come into close contact with these dogs, and they can get really, really, really hurt. Dogs can bite them, and they can harm them, and they can harm their babies. And then that becomes a huge deal because sometimes the mother will be so injured that it cannot take care of its baby anymore. And so we have to take care of the baby from that point forward. He's so cute. Just sleeping away. And that's his foot.
This is peak adorable. We've had the most sleeping sloths we've had in quite some time in this broadcast. It's been delightful.
Yeah, that's for sure. It's the weather. It's the weather. I'm telling you.
It is. Are there any other big points that you want to take us on, or journeys you want to do, or do you want to dive in with Q&A? Entirely up to you, man. I just wanted to chime in and ask what you thought.
If you guys want to start with the Q&A, that'd be great for me.
Let's do it. We've got a bunch of classes joining us on YouTube. Miss Clark's class, Miss Higgins, Miss Hood's class. Welcome in from across Canada and the United States. Our live groups, we've got a bunch that all the tech seems to be working now. So way to go. And if there are any things you want to show us as we go through Q&A, man, by all means, take us to any other part of the Toucan Rescue Ranch or hang out here with our sleeping sloths. It's pretty adorable. I'm going to head to Miami first. Miss Siemens, third graders, if you guys want to chime in and kick us off with a question, you are good to go. Welcome in, grade 3. Hi.
Hi, folks.
Yeah, you're good to go.
Sit, Emma, ask your question. Okay, go.
Hey, Emma.
I wanted to ask.
Big voice. Take a step back and a big voice. Valerie, sit down.
I wanted to ask, what are sloth predators?
Ooh, what eats sloths?
So that's a great question, actually. Thank you for it. Basically, sloths, well, they don't get eaten by much. If a sloth gets to be big enough, like Milo over here, there's nothing that would really try to eat a sloth. The only real animal that would go out and try to hunt and eat a sloth is something really, really big, like a harpy eagle. These are a specific type of eagle that you can find over in the forests of mostly South America at this point, and they are really, really big. So harpy eagle has the wingspan about a 6-foot wingspan. That means that between its wings you can fit a grown person, which is pretty cool. And these are the only animal that can actually go out and hunt a sloth. Something as big as a jaguar would think it twice before trying to mess up with a big sloth like this one. But the tiny ones can get eaten by things like other birds of prey, so spectacled owls, for example, and even some smaller cats like ocelots, for example.
Amazing. And by the way, I put harpy eagle's name on the screen. I encourage all our classes to look up harpy eagles when they're done. They are one of the most beautiful birds on earth. I know in this case they're the enemy of our sloth, but they are super, super cool and worth checking out. Miss O'Hara, Miss Baraja's class, I know you guys have devices off or are doing chats with your students. If you want to share your questions in the chat and StreamYard, I will share them on your behalf as we go through the broadcast. But I'm going to head to Wisconsin for Miss Matsdorf's class. I'm going to take 2 from you guys because I know you have to go in about 8 minutes or so. So welcome in Wisconsin, 4th graders. Hey.
How many sloths are in your exhibit?
How many sloths?
So over here, we actually have several sloths. So I'm going to see if I can show you this guy over here because he's a big boy. Permanent residents, animals that we cannot release back into the wild, we actually only have about 6 of them. More like 7, actually. But we have right now 10 babies that we're racing to be released back into the wild. We're trying to see if he wants to come up and come out. Do you want to come up and come out, Georgie? And then apart from that, we have 4 sloths in our clinic that we're treating currently due to electrocution injuries that we're going to release back into the wild soon, hopefully.
Fantastic. Great question, man. I'm going to head back to Ms. Matsdorf. Again, I know you guys need to head off, so come on in for a second question. Hey, 4th graders.
Do the sloths let you hold them?
Yeah, we got this question.
That is a great question. They do not like to be held. They are wild animals, and wild animals often dislike people. And that's the case with all of our sloths. So I've actually worked here for about 9 years, and never in the history of ever would a single sloth over here allow me to hold them. They're really aggressive. They're really dangerous, and they really don't like being touched. They kind of just like doing their own thing. Sloths in the wild, especially sloths that were raised to be part of the wild, they just like to be on their own. And while an animal like Georgie over here is maybe not as aggressive as some of the sloths that we have in the clinic, he can still be very dangerous, especially somebody like him who's so large.
Yeah, I'm really glad we got this question, and I like to highlight it every time we're at the Toucan Rescue Ranch together for our students, because one question we always get in every broadcast is how can we help the sloths? How can we help wildlife in a place like Costa Rica? And one thing that all our students can do, no matter what age you are, share pictures of places that take really good care of animals, like the Toucan Rescue Ranch, like accredited zoos and aquaria. Try to avoid sharing pictures where people are holding animals or have them on their head or shoulders. It looks super cool. Don't get me wrong. It sounds like such a nice thing to do, but it often means that the animals are being mistreated or unwell cared for. So share pictures of animals that are in good places, like the rescue ranch, and you'll go a long way to helping protect creatures like sloths. So great question, guys. Thanks for that first. We are so early on in the Q&A. We're whipping through these. This is great. I'm going to take a couple of YouTube ones, and I'm going to head back to our live classes. Miss class, let's see. Camille wants to know how long you personally have been working at the Toucan Rescue Ranch.
Oh, well, that's actually a great question. So I've worked here for about 9 years now, 9 years in June. So I started here. Well, I'm actually the veterinary supervisor for the whole center. So nice. I work with the sloths directly and treat them and help them out in all sorts of ways. But I started here as a simple volunteer, coming in, kind of during the week, just helping out all the animals when I was kind of a young one, and then kind of evolved into going to vet school and then coming back here and working with the sloths.
Kudos to you. A lot of the people that we get the chance to work with that are amazing presenters just start out as a volunteer. You find something close to home that you love, whether it's animals, whether it's any kind of science or nature, go see if you can help out. And it leads to some really cool jobs, like getting to hang out with sloths and take care of them, which is like the best job ever. I'm going to head to another YouTube one. Cheyenne, grade 8 remote class wants to know, do you have any kinkajous? And if you could tell us a little about those on site, if you have them, that would be lovely.
Yeah, all right. We can try to see if we can see one actually. So let's go over in that direction. So we do have kinkajous. We have 3 of them actually, and they're a really, really amazing animal that we get to have over here in Costa Rica. So for anybody that doesn't know what a kinkajou is, kinkajous are close relatives of raccoons. And they are arboreal animals, so they live exactly and always on the trees. And yeah, they're really, really amazing because they have really long tongues. And those really, really long tongues they use to be able to get at nectar and honey and all sorts of yummy, yummy things that they can find on the trees. So I'm going to see if I can show you one of them. They're nocturnal, so they're usually asleep at this hour, but there is a little beautiful kinkajou over here. His name is Manuka, that often comes out during the day just to kind of chill and say hi.
Let's see. Thanks for the tour across the facility to go check out and look for another animal. This is like a bonus in the sloth program.
Yeah, we'll see if we can see him, but he's really cute.
I know we got a monkey trying to steal the show in the background.
Oh yeah, they always do that.
Yeah.
Always there.
Well, we can hang out. If he comes out, great. And if not, we'll head back to the sloth. But I'll head to our next class for a question. Ms. Wyland's class. Sorry. Oh, geez, frog in my throat. I'm going to head to you guys next. If you want to come on in grade 2s, you're good to go. Bye.
All right, ready?
Welcome in.
Hi. How old can they live up to?
How old can sloths get? Yes.
All right. So I'm going to go back to our sloth.
Okay. Thanks for trying.
But I tried. Oh,
You
wait,
did.
no, he's out. He's out, actually.
Oh.
So you can see him right over there.
Yep, Kinkajou. Yes. Nicely done. Out of the tube and into our hearts.
So
yes.
let's go see a sloth and talk about how old they can get. So sloths can actually, that's a great question. We don't know. We have absolutely no idea how old a sloth can get. Interestingly enough, there's a number, but nobody knows where that number comes from. And that number is 25. Everybody says that sloths get to live to be up to 25 years old, but there's no real studies that have been done on that. And I believe you me, people haven't studied sloths for 25 years. So what's really, really cool is that there are some sloths in captivity. There's one in Germany, for example, that's 50 years old. So that's pretty old. Yeah, it seems to be that to me that's actually more closer to reality than it would be. Sloths have what we call a very slow metabolism. And so that means that they don't really do all that much, and they process their food very slowly. And animals with slow metabolisms like turtles can get to live to be up to their hundreds. So logic would say that a sloth will probably live a long time.
Fantastic. Great question, guys. Burnenthorpe Public School, Ms. O'Byrne's class. You got it working? Yes. I'm going to come to you guys. If you have a question for us, come on in. Hey.
Go ahead, Abisha.
What other stuff do sloths do other than like being on trees or sleeping?
Well, you missed a really, really big one that sloths do all day long. Eating. Sloths are eating machines. They are always constantly eating. If you've ever seen something like a cow, cows are also constantly eating. And that's because leaves are not the best nutritional source in the world. And so they always have to be constantly eating to be able to exist and to be able to remain, sloths. And so one of the main things that sloths will do all day long is just going around, finding new food, and then eating that new food. It's kind of what they do. Other than that, well, they'll sometimes interact with other sloths, fight, or try to take care of their babies, and just move along that way.
I will note too, just because it's such a niche thing that's really cool, sloths can swim and they're actually pretty good at it. There's some great footage on YouTube from BBC programs of sloths taking a little bit of a paddle along, but eat, sleep, walk along branches. Sounds like a pretty good life to me, frankly. I'm going to take a question from our class without the devices on, Miss O'Hara's class, and our groups on YouTube. So Miss Clark, this is from you too. How long or tall can sloths grow?
How long or tall can sloths grow? That's a great question. So I don't know the exact numbers for how long maybe they can grow, but I know that for a fact that they can grow to be quite large. We measure animals mostly by weight, and so we know that some of our bigger sloths over here can grow up to be around 18 to 20 pounds. The biggest we've ever had is actually about 24 pounds. So really, really, really large. That was a really fat sloth that we that we received here. And they can be really, really big as well, actually. So they can be about as big as a medium-sized dog. Think about something like a beagle, and you'll be in the right ballpark.
There's lots of mental elaborations of a beagle and a sloth together that are rushing through my head. So thank you for that. Ms. Barojas, your audio is working. If I can come to you guys for live for a question if you want to turn on your mic. Yeah, there we go. Hey, welcome in.
Brianna?
I love this question from Brianna.
What would happen to the place if, like, all the animals were somehow safe?
If you got them all better, if everything was good and everything you had could be released back into the wild, what happens then to the Toucan Rescue Ranch?
Then I guess we wouldn't really be here, huh? The thing is that's probably not going to happen, sadly. There's a lot of things that go on every single day, sadly, and a lot of animals that come in every single day. Sadly, the reality of the world that we live in is that a lot of animals need rescuing. And so that's why it's so important to have centers like ours, but also people that are interested, people that want to go out there, people that want to help save these animals and help them out and allow them to go back and live their lives back out into the wild. We wish, honestly, that we didn't exist. We wish that we live in a world where everything was perfect and all the animals stayed wild forever and ever. But sadly, we don't live in that world. And so we need people to come here and to help the animals out and, to allow them to be back into the wild.
Yep. Well, happily, we live in a world where there's fantastic people like you guys and an amazing organization that takes care of animals like that. But I love that question. It's the first time we've ever got something like that in one of our programs. So I like the optimistic thinking, guys. I'm going to head back to our live classes for another round. YouTubers, please feel free to keep sharing questions. But Miss Siemens' class, Miami, if you guys have another one for us, come on in. Hey.
Back up, Sullivan. Back up.
Hi. You're good.
I was wondering, where do sloths normally sleep?
Yes, where do they sleep?
So that's a great question. So what I'm showing you right now is a beautiful, wonderful hammock where little beautiful latte is kind of sleeping right now. But in the wild, that's not kind of where sloths sleep. So a lot of the time, people will come here and they'll ask me if they sleep upside down, for example. And they don't. Sloths can spend a lot of their time upside down, but they don't sleep upside down. When they want to sleep, what they'll do is they'll find a good nook or cranny on a tree, something that looks kind of like this. So, you got a nice flat surface over here, and then you got something to grab onto, and then they'll ball up into a tiny, tiny ball, and then they'll hold onto the branch over here, put the little tush over on this branch down here, and just kind of let themselves be kind of cradled that way. So I guess to answer your question more thoroughly, they sleep on branches like any other arboreal animal would.
Fantastic. Great question, guys. Wyland Elementary, grade 2s, come on in and take us away with question number 2. Hi.
So,
Yep, you're all set.
so our second question, we actually had already answered. So we're going to jump to our last question that we had.
Perfect.
How soon do the sloths get released?
Yes, how long does it take for them at the rescue ranch before you can release them back to the wild? Great question.
That's a fantastic question, actually. So let me show you one of our youngest ones so we can explore that question further. So when it comes to releasing sloths, it's not an exact science, actually. Depending on who they are and what they're doing, it might take them sooner or later for them to be released back into the wild. When we receive a baby that's really, really, really young, a newborn, as we often do, they can stay with us for up to 2 years. And that's the longest amount of time that we will keep any sort of sloth. This is Pringle. She's up and going through that release process. And it really depends on the animal as well. So some animals are a lot better at learning than some other animals. And so some of them can go through the process really quickly, while some of them can go a little bit more slow. We also take into consideration their weight. And so it really depends on whether they can gain that weight really quickly or not. And it also, in the cases of the animals that we rescue that have come to us because of injuries, it depends a lot on their injury. But we often don't keep them more than 6 months. With that amount of time, that you're usually well enough to go back out into the wild. But the most that we've kept a sloth that has arrived due to injury was Oatmeal. She was a beautiful two-toed sloth, and she came over here, and she stayed with us, I think, for about a year or something, healing all of the injuries. But she was gladly released back into the wild, for which we're very happy.
Absolutely. By the way, I will say, and don't tell the other sloths this at all, I think that Pringle's got the most perfect face in the world, and I think it's one of my favorites. Look at that face. It's perfect in every way. I'm going to take 3 more questions, folks, and then we'll wrap up from there. Miss Lai's class wants to know, do you have to make their nails shorter, like trimming their nails at all, or do you just leave them alone as the vet team?
That's a really, really awesome question, actually. Yes, we do actually have to trim their nails, and we actually also have to trim their fangs. So that's pretty cool. So sloths have fangs that grow forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. And usually in the wild, because they eat things that are very tough, the fangs will start to grind down, and they will start to decrease in size. But over here, since they are living and they don't really have access to all that much tough material, they're mostly eating things like green beans and carrots. When we do their yearly checkup, so that's once a year, we'll come around and we'll kind of go down with a filer and file down their fangs, and take them out a little bit more, trim them, and then with their claws, we'll do the same. The thing is that sloths in the wild, they not only climb branches like this, but they'll also climb much thicker branches, things that are a lot tougher, and often they'll actually break their nails a lot in the wild. And so that takes care of their nails for them and keeps them trimmed and nice. But over here, we do that for them, and keep them trim, keeping good, and avoid any accidents with them as well.
Yeah, we've never gotten that question. So Miss Lai's grade 1s, that was a great query, guys. Burnhamthorpe Public School, we're going to come to you live. Let's take a question from Miss Clark's class.
Whoa, now you got me in a tough spot. So I've been here for a long, long time, and honestly, knowing how many sloths we have saved is kind of a difficult question. I can tell you that last year we received about 50 sloths, all of which have been since released, and we've received. Well, last year was actually the year that we received the most sloths, but we generally tend to receive about 20 to 30 per year. So you can make those calculations. We started receiving sloths in 2007. So around 20 to 30 sloths ever since 2007.
Fantastic. It's so amazing to think about something like that. And again, we've had the pleasure of working with you guys for 4 or 5 years now. Our students have helped raise thousands of dollars at the Toucan Rescue Ranch. I really do encourage our audience. Like, one broadcast does not do justice. ToucanRescueRanch.com. Check them out on social media. There's so much to cover about their incredible work. And you can find out more about the animals on site now, in the past, and so much more. So thank you for that question, guys. Let's head to one final live one. Burnhamthorpe Public School, take us away, Ms. O'Byrne's group, and you're good to go. Hi.
Do sloths' hair grow, or does it stay the same length?
Ooh.
That's actually an amazing question. So yes, sloths' hair grows, but it grows very different from our hair. So sloth hair doesn't grow forever. It actually has a set, defined kind of limit to their growth. And it depends on where they live. which is pretty cool. So if you ever go to the beach and you go and find a sloth, you'll find that they're not as fluffy as the sloths that we have over here up in the high mountains of Costa Rica. That's because it's a lot colder here than it is at the beach. So if a sloth has lived its entire life at the beach, it will have short hair and it won't grow all that much. Sloth hair actually grows fairly slow to begin with. If we have to shave a sloth for a medical procedure, you can expect that sloth to take up to a year or almost 2 years to grow that patch of hair right back to its original length. But if you take a sloth from the beach and put it up in the mountains, it can grow from very short hair, almost like a buzz cut, to a very big flowing mane of hair in as quick as 6 months. So they're really, really adaptable. And they use that ability to be able to, protect themselves from the cold and all sorts of other things as well.
I'm really leaving this broadcast with the image of a sloth with like a big mullet type thing. So thank you for that very, very much. Is there a final message you want to share with our classes? We had such great questions today. Time flies if you're having fun, so we'll have to wrap up the broadcast there. But is there a final call for our students today?
Yeah, well, I think my favorite thing in the world is sloths. And so I always tell people to go out there and learn. That's one of the most important things. I don't think I would have liked sloths or cared much about them if I didn't learn about them. And so that's what I always try to encourage and everybody to go out there into the world, to open their minds, to open their minds, to make questions and to open a book. That's really important. And to start learning. Keep learning, keep investigating about sloths. There's so much to learn about them. And so if you keep going up with that mentality, you'll go to great places.
Outstanding. So much for such an amazing presentation. Classes, thank you for your enthusiasm, your excitement, your great questions. As you will know, for our classes that have been here before, as you will certainly know at the Toucan Rescue Ranch, we wrap up every broadcast by bringing in all our classes for a big thank you and farewell. So Miss Seaman, was finally everyone. See you all.